Hello, today I want to talk about update order. Basically, I want to tell you what redstone component updates first if it's powered in the same game tick. I will only draw conclusions that I made from observations. Sharir plans to do some more detailed information on the matter in the next video that he releases. So if you're interested in this, be sure to check that out. But let's get back to our redstone components. So basically, repeaters always update before comparators and torches, and those before pistons. But there are a few exceptions to that rule, and I will discuss about it later. But first, let's try to verify our theory that repeaters update before comparators and those before pistons with this little setup here. So basically I want to power all these droppers in the exact same game tick, and because the update order is first dropper, second dropper, third dropper, they all should go in the same chest. So with this little setup we have 5 ticks delay each to power the droppers. Here we have 3 game ticks because we powered a repeater directly by a lever, then additional 2 game ticks here, and also we have 5 game ticks in total with those pistons. 3 game ticks until the second piston is activated, and then it's 2 game ticks until he activates the dropper or the redstone dust here, which is just an indicator redstone dust because Sharir's mod keeps track of that. So let's see it. Yep, it went straight over, so the update order was correct. And we can also see it here. So the repeater updated before the comparator, before the indicator dust. So yeah, that should prove it. Also, if it's a little bit more chaotic, so if you have repeaters and comparators mixed on a different level, would also work. So if I turn this on, you can see all the comparators update before the repeaters in the same game tick. So next I want to show you that repeaters always update before torches. I power a repeater and a torch from the same block. As you can see, all the repeaters update before all the torches. Also if I turn it off, all the repeaters again update before all the torches. So what about comparators? Let's just place a few. And if I power it, it's always torch, comparator, torch, comparator, torch, comparator. So the torch only activates first because it's in the more negative X location. If I would turn it around and have the comparators instead of the torch here and vice versa, then all the comparators would update before all the torches. Yeah, let's just see it. Get rid of it. Whoops, we need torches, sorry. So as you can see, now it's always comparator torch, comparator torch, comparator torch, comparator torch, instead of the other way around. But interestingly, if I turn it off, then all the comparators that turn off would update before all the torches. So there's apparently an exception to the rule, but yeah, only when they turn off. With the repeaters, it's always the same, always repeaters before torches, but not with the comparators. So there's more to repeaters to determine which updates first. So always the repeater that gets signal first would update before the repeater that gets signal later, because comparators transfer the signal after the repeaters. This repeater will get the signal before this repeater. So let's just see it. You can see the item went over. Also like here, it's also the same. This comparator gets powered before this comparator gets powered by another comparator. Also, you could do it like this. Just set one of the set the repeaters to different delays. So this repeater would get activated first, second, third, fourth, but the droppers will all get powered in the same tick. It's for example, slow the game down a bit so you can see it. Okay, then it takes a while to update the comparator, but here we see the output. The advantage of this system that it can get more combinations. With only 2 repeaters you also only can get 4 combinations like with the comparators. But if you would mix up, for example, 3 repeaters, you can get 12 combinations. With only a mix of comparators and repeaters, you could only get 2 to the power of 3 equals 8 combinations. Yeah, so as you can see, we have the most delay at the first repeater and the least delay at the latest one. So this repeater would get updated first and this one last. And as you can see, this also works. So as I said, the advantage of this, you can get more combinations. With a mix of repeaters and comparators, you can only get 2 to the power of number of repeaters comparators you have. So for example, if you would have 4 elements, then you could get 16 variations, but with a mix of repeaters you can get 32 with 4 different repeaters. The amount of delay that is optimal for the highest number of variation is always the average value. So in this setup here, the average value would be between 2 and 8, so 5. So we have the most combinations with 5 ticks delay. So in here would be 7.5. So it doesn't matter if you would have used 7 or 8, you can get the same amount of variations. But for example, if you were to use 4 repeaters, then you get the most variations with 10 ticks of delay, and so on. But it's not really necessary if you want to do, for example, an instant dropper line. So since pistons update after everything else, basically the same setup twice. So this starts again after 12 droppers, but there's an additional component from the instant zero tick repeater line. So this would also work, so you don't need a lot of combinations if you want to use that system. Let's see in action. Yeah, works. Same game tick. But obviously there are better systems for an instant dropper line. For example, Test showed it in one of his videos. So basically Rails always update the position that is furthest away from the source first. So if I would butt power all those droppers here and give power to rails, the last rail would update first and then in a logical order. As you can see, I get the item. The advantage of this system that it works in every direction, like this system here, but some systems that are directional that could be better than this one, because obviously you're limited to the length of a rail, which is 9. For example, in the east-west direction, if you would give power to rails via a redstone line, that have to be those are alternating rails, they will also update in a logical order. So first, second, third, and so on. So the item would land in the chest, and this only works in the west-east axis, and both directions, so west-east and east-west. So let's see a demonstration. Bam, item is over there. So this system works very good in the east-west direction. It doesn't work in the north-south. The update order will be kind of random. Also, the system only works with rails. If you would try to power the droppers directly with redstone dust, then it would fail. As you can see, the item lands in a wrong dropper. Also, it only works with rails. You would, if you use pistons, for example, to update the droppers, it wouldn't also work. So what about the north-south axis? Yeah, the advantage of the north-south axis is that repeaters always update in the right order, or comparators, if they're directly powered with redstone dust. Very strange, but yeah, that's how it works. As you can see, went right over. Also, this system only works if you power the repeaters directly with redstone dust. So if we would change it and power it from the top via a block, then you can see it doesn't work. Stops at a seemingly random location. So this also works north-south and south-north, but not east-west and west-east. Okay, let's also quickly cover command blocks. If I would use a fill command on those, which would update first. So it's always the one the most negative x value, then the one in the most negative y, and then negative z value. So let's just quickly fill it. That's our 0, 0 command block, and then that's one on the x value more, 2 more, and then it skips over to the y value, and so on. And if I would add command blocks over here, it would update in this order. If it's powered from the same block, it's always the lower y first and then the upper. So as I've seen before, there's some strange behavior to redstone dust updates. So if, for example, in this setup here, which pistons would you expect to win? And yeah, you might think those have the lower signal strength, so they would get depowered first, and it's kinda how redstone dust works. Instead of going directly from 15 to 0, it goes to 14, 13, 12, 11, 10 and so on, which is kinda unnecessary, but yeah, that's how it works at the moment. And yeah, those will be at 0 first before those, because they have this higher signal strength. And yeah, that kinda proves the theory. Also, if we would do the other side, and those pistons win. So what about the middle? Yeah, you might think just a random location wins. But what about if I do this? So what happens now? Ha! I didn't expect that. Yeah, very strange, but it gets even more strange. So, what about now? And what if I do this? Okay, but if I do this? Doesn't make sense at all. Also, to disprove the theory before, what about this? Now those pistons would depower first and they should win, but they don't. So as you can see, redstone dust behavior is very strange. Sharir is at the moment working to find a solution via the game code. Let's hope for the best. So if I haven't confused you by now, it gets even more strange. There's an exception that sometimes comparators would update before repeaters. So in this setup here, you would expect the repeater would block the comparator first before it gets updated. But look at this. There's a signal in the repeater. But what if I do this? No signal. So this is very strange behavior, and it's also locational, like most of those weird redstone dust behavior. As you can see, also works here. In the exact same setup over here, doesn't work. Also here, doesn't work. And it's all within the same chunk. But I can make it work. For example, if I would power it from here, then it works. So redstone dust is very weird. Hope somebody will finally find an explanation for this, but yeah, I didn't. But I guess some of the other observations were kind of useful for you. At least I hope it. But that's all I want to show you for today. Goodbye.